My fiancée said, "I invited a few people you don't like. Be mature." She didn't know those people were the reason I rebuilt my entire life. I nodded. Of course. On the wedding day, everything went exactly as planned until her smile disappeared after reading a single name. I'm 34, and I was 3 weeks away from getting married when everything unraveled. My fiancé and I had been together for 2 years. We met at a charity event, hit it off immediately, got engaged after 18 months. She came from money, not rich, but comfortable. Her family had connections, threw nice parties, knew the right people. I came from nothing. Worked my way through college, built my career from scratch, earned every single thing I had. She knew bits and pieces of my past, knew I'd had a rough patch in my 20s, knew I'd changed careers, moved across the country, started over. But she didn't know the details, didn't know the names, didn't know how bad it had been. 6 weeks before the wedding, we were at her parents' house going over the guest list. Her mother was there, her sister, the wedding planner. Everyone was drinking wine except me. I don't drink, and my fiancé knew that, but never asked why. We were going through the seating chart when my fiancé said, "Oh, I need to add a few people." "Who?" I asked. "Some friends from college." "You haven't met them yet. They're coming into town for the wedding." "Okay, how many?" 4, maybe 5. I'll confirm numbers this week." Something in her tone made me look up. "Who are they?" "Just old friends. We were in the same social circle. Lost touch after graduation but reconnected recently." "What are their names?" She listed them off casually, adding them to the spreadsheet. 4 names. I heard them and felt my chest tighten, felt the room get smaller. Those weren't just names. Those were the people who'd destroyed my life 10 years ago. "You okay?" my fiancé asked. "You look pale." "I'm fine, just tired." "You know them?" "No, never heard of them." I was lying. I knew exactly who they were, and they knew me, or at least they knew who I used to be. Later that night, back at our apartment, my fiancé brought it up again. "You're upset about the guest list." "I'm not upset. You've been quiet all evening. What's wrong?" "Nothing. I'm just stressed about work." "Is it the people I invited? You don't want them there?" I should have told her then. Should have explained. But I didn't. Because if I told her about those people, I'd have to tell her about who I used to be. And I wasn't ready for that. "It's fine," I said. "Invite whoever you want. It's your wedding too." "You're sure? Because if you really don't want them there, it's fine. Really?" She smiled, relieved. "I knew you'd be mature about it. These people can be a lot. But they're important to me. I want them there." I nodded, said nothing, went to bed that night knowing I had 3 weeks to figure out what to do. Update 1, I need to explain who these people are, or were. To me, at least. 10 years ago, I was someone different. Different name, different career, different life. I was working in finance, making good money, engaged to someone I thought I'd marry. I was part of a social circle that revolved around bars, clubs, parties, connections. Networking that felt more like hazing. Drinking that felt more like obligation. The people my fiancé had invited were part of that circle. They were the architects of the worst year of my life. It started small. Jokes at my expense. Pranks that went too far. They'd invite me out, get me drunk, leave me places. They'd spread rumors about me at work, to my then fiancé, to mutual friends. They thought it was funny, thought I was weak for not fighting back harder. My then fiancé left me because of them. They convinced her I was cheating, showed her doctored photos, manipulated her until she believed them. My job fell apart because they were connected to clients I needed, and they made sure those relationships soured. My reputation in that city, in that industry, was destroyed. I tried to fight back, tried to expose them. But they were better at this game than I was. They had money, connections, credibility. I had nothing. So I left, changed my name legally, moved across the country, started over in a completely different field, spent years rebuilding, therapy, career change, new identity. I became someone else, someone better, someone they couldn't hurt anymore. And now, my fiancée wanted them at our wedding. The rational part of me knew she didn't know, couldn't know. They wouldn't have told her who I used to be. They probably didn't even recognize my new name when she mentioned me. But the other part of me, the part that still remembered everything they'd done, wanted to burn the whole thing down. I spent the next week trying to figure out what to do. I could tell my fiancé everything, risk her seeing me differently. I could uninvite them myself, cause drama, start a fight. Or I could do nothing and hope they didn't recognize me. None of those options seemed right. Then I thought of something else. Something that would require perfect timing, perfect execution, but would make everything clear. Of course, I'd said when she told me to be mature. And I would be. Perfectly mature, perfectly calculated. Update 2. 2 weeks before the wedding, I started making calls, reached out to people I hadn't spoken to in a decade, people who'd known me before, people who'd witnessed what those 4 had done. I found 3 of them who were willing to help. One who'd been my roommate during the worst of it. One who'd worked with me and seen how they sabotaged my career. One who'd been dating someone in their circle and had seen it all from the inside. I explained what I needed. They thought I was crazy, but they agreed to help. "Are you sure about this?" my old roommate asked. "This is your wedding day." "I'm sure. It might blow up everything." "I know. And you're okay with that?" I thought about it. Yeah, I am. Because if she can't accept who I used to be, who I had to become because of what they did, then we shouldn't be getting married anyway. He was quiet for a moment. Then, "All right, I'm in." The plan was simple. These 3 people would attend the wedding as my guests. They'd sit in the back. They wouldn't cause a scene, but their presence would be documented in the program, in the seating chart, in the guest book. And their names would be listed in a very specific place. The week before the wedding, my fiancé asked if I had final additions to my guest list. Actually, yes, 3 more people, old friends who can make it after all. "Oh, that's great. Send me their names and I'll add them." I sent her the names. She added them without question. She didn't recognize them. Why would she? She'd never heard these stories. Never asked about my past beyond surface details. The wedding planner updated everything. Programs printed, seating chart finalized, place cards made. Everything was ready. Update 3. The wedding day started perfect. Beautiful weather. Venue looked amazing. Everything running on schedule. My fiancé was radiant, happy, excited. I was calm, strangely calm. Her college friends arrived during the cocktail hour. I watched them from across the room. They looked older, successful, confident. They didn't notice me. I'd changed enough. Different hair, different style, different name, that I was invisible to them. My 3 guests arrived and stayed in the back as planned. They blended in perfectly. The ceremony was beautiful. My fiancé cried. I held it together. We said our vows, exchanged rings, kissed to applause, married, official. We did photos, worked the receiving line, made our entrance at the reception. Everything was going exactly as planned. Then came the moment I'd been waiting for. During dinner, the MC announced we'd be doing something special. Instead of the usual toasts, we'd prepared a video presentation. A thank you to everyone who'd made the day possible, with photos and names of special guests who'd influenced our journey. This was my idea. I'd told my fiancé it would be a nice touch. She'd loved it, thought it was thoughtful. The lights dimmed. The video started. Photos of us, our families, our friends, sweet music, sentimental moments. Everyone was smiling, some people crying. Then came a section titled, "Those Who Shaped Us." Photos and names of people who'd been important to our individual journeys. My fiancée's section showed her family, childhood friends, mentors. Sweet, simple. Then my section started. First photo. Me 10 years ago. Different hair, different name, with my old roommate. Caption. The friend who helped me survive the darkest year of my life. My fiancée glanced at me, confused. I squeezed her hand. Second photo. Me at my old job, before everything fell apart. Caption. Who I was before I had to become someone else. She was staring at the screen now, not understanding. Third photo. The 4 people, her college friends, in a group shot from 10 years ago. I was in the background, blurred but visible. Caption. The people who taught me that cruelty disguised as friendship destroys lives. The room got quiet. People were reading, processing. Her college friends were staring at the screen, recognition dawning. Fourth photo. Me in the hospital after a breakdown triggered by their harassment. Caption. Where their jokes led me. My fiancé turned to me. What is this? Keep watching. Final photo. Me now, with my 3 guests from the back of the room. Caption. The witnesses who remember, the ones who know what really happened, the reason I had to rebuild everything. The video ended. Lights came up slowly. The room was silent. My fiancé was staring at me, her face pale. That's you? In those photos, you changed your name? Yes. Those people, my friends, they did that to you? Yes. She looked across the room at them. They were standing now, looking panicked, looking at the exits. Why didn't you tell me? Would you have believed me? Without proof, without witnesses? They're your friends. I'm just the guy you've known for 2 years. I would have believed you. Would you? Really? Or would you have thought I was being dramatic, insecure, trying to control who you invite to our wedding? She didn't answer, because we both knew the truth. One of her college friends, the ringleader from back then, approached our table. This is insane. He's lying. We don't even know him. My old roommate stood up from the back. You don't remember him because you destroyed him so completely he had to become someone else. But I remember. I was there. I watched you do it. This is ridiculous. The colleague who'd witnessed the work sabotage stood up too. I have emails, documentation, everything they did to tank his career. I kept it all because I thought someday someone should know the truth. The 4 of them left, just walked out. Their significant others followed, looking confused and embarrassed. My fiancé was crying. Why did you do this? Here? Today? Because you invited them. To our wedding. The people who are the reason I had to rebuild my entire life. And you told me to be mature about it. I didn't know. No, you didn't. Because you never asked. Never wanted to know about the rough patch in my 20s. Never wondered why I don't drink. Why I'm so private. Why I flinch at certain types of jokes. I'm sorry. Are you? Because right now you seem more upset that I embarrassed your friends than upset about what they did to me. She stood up. I need air. She left. I sat there at the head table alone, in front of 200 guests. Everyone was staring, whispering. My best man leaned over. Dude, what just happened? The truth, I said. Finally. Update 4. My fiancée, my wife, technically, though it didn't feel like it, didn't come back to the reception. Her maid of honor found her in the bridal suite, crying. They talked for an hour while the reception continued awkwardly without us. I stayed, made small talk, pretended everything was fine. Some guests congratulated me on standing up for myself. Others looked at me like I'd ruined everything. Eventually, her maid of honor came to get me. She wants to talk to you. I went to the bridal suite. My wife was sitting on the couch, makeup ruined, dress wrinkled. Was any of today real? She asked. Or was it all just a setup for this? Today was real. The video was the only part I planned. You've been planning this for weeks, planning to humiliate me at our wedding. I wasn't trying to humiliate you. I was trying to tell you the truth in a way you couldn't ignore or dismiss. You could have told me privately, weeks ago, months ago. Would you have believed me, honestly? She was quiet. They're your friends, people you've known for years. I'm the guy who's been in your life for 2 years, who you never really asked about. If I'd told you this story in our apartment, you would have thought I was exaggerating, being paranoid, trying to control your friendships. I would have. You wouldn't have. Because I've tried this before. With my ex, with friends, with people who knew them, and no one believed me. Because they're charming, they're connected. They're good at making you feel crazy for calling them out. She wiped her eyes. So, you married me, planning to do this? No. I married you, loving you, hoping you'd never have to know about this part of my life. But then, you invited them, and I had a choice, pretend everything was fine, or show you who they really are. You chose humiliation. I chose truth, with witnesses, with proof, so you couldn't tell yourself I was lying or exaggerating. Where do we go from here? I don't know. That's up to you. What do you mean? You married someone you didn't really know, someone with a past you never wanted to hear about. Now you know, and you get to decide if you can live with it. She looked at me for a long time. Then, I need time to process this, to figure out how I feel. Okay. I'm going to stay with my sister tonight. Okay. She left, on our wedding night. I went back to the reception, stayed until the end, thanked everyone for coming. Went home alone to our apartment that was decorated with just married banners. Update 5. My wife stayed with her sister for 3 days. Didn't call, didn't text, nothing. On day 4, her sister called me. She wants to meet, to talk. Tomorrow, 2 p.m., that coffee shop you both like. Is she filing for annulment? I don't know. She won't tell me, but she wants to talk. I showed up at 1:45. She was already there, looking tired. We sat down, ordered coffee, sat in silence for a minute. I talked to some people, she finally said. People who knew you back then. People who knew them. Okay. Everything you said was true, worse even. I heard stories you didn't include in that video. I included enough. Why did you stay silent so long? Why did you let them win? I didn't let them win. I survived, built a new life. That's not losing. But you changed your name, gave up your career, moved across the country. They took everything from you. They took who I was. I built who I am. Better version. I'm sorry for inviting them, for not knowing, for telling you to be mature about it. You didn't know. I should have asked more questions, should have wanted to know your whole story, not just the parts that were easy or comfortable. Yeah, you should have. She winced, but nodded. I talked to my friends, or former friends. They denied everything at first. Then, when I pushed, they admitted some of it, tried to minimize it, said you were too sensitive, that it was just jokes. Jokes that put me in the hospital. I know. And they can't take responsibility for that. They're not going to admit they were wrong. They're just going to keep minimizing and justifying. That's what people like that do. I uninvited them from my life, blocked them, told everyone in our friend group what they did. Some people believed me, some didn't. Some think I overreacted. You didn't overreact. I know. She looked at me. I want to try, to make this marriage work, if you'll let me. After what I did? You didn't do anything wrong. You told the truth. In a dramatic way, yes. But I needed to see it that way. Needed the shock of it to really understand. You're not angry? I'm angry you didn't trust me enough to tell me sooner. But I understand why. And I'm angrier at them for doing this to you. For making you feel like you couldn't tell me. We sat there for a while, drinking coffee, not talking. Where do we start? She finally asked. Therapy, both of us. Together and separate. Okay, what else? Honestly, I don't know. This is new territory for both of us. Yeah. She reached across the table, took my hand. But we can figure it out, right? Maybe, if we both try. I'll try. I promise. Final update. It's been 4 months since the wedding. 4 months since that video played and everything changed. We're still together, still married. It hasn't been easy. There have been fights, tears, setbacks. But we're both trying. The therapy helps. Individually and together. She's learning about trauma, about how the past shapes who we become. I'm learning to trust her with the difficult parts of my story, not just the safe parts. Her family was confused at first. Her mother thought I'd overreacted. Her father understood better. He'd had something similar happen in his career, people who'd sabotaged him. He got why I'd done what I did. Her friends are mostly gone. The ones who stayed are the ones who believed her, who understood why what those 4 people did was unforgivable. The rest chose sides, and we weren't their side. My 3 witnesses, the ones who helped me with the video, have become friends again. Real friends. We get dinner sometimes, talk about old times and new times, laugh about the absurdity of it all. As for the 4 people who started this whole thing, I heard through mutual connections that they're furious, threatening to sue for defamation, harassment, whatever they can think of. Their lawyers told them they don't have a case. Everything in that video was true, documented, witnessed. One of them tried to apologize, sent a long email about how they were young and stupid, how they didn't realize how much damage they'd done. I didn't respond. I don't need their apology. I don't need anything from them. My wife asked me if I regret doing it that way, exposing everything at the wedding instead of privately. No, I said, because if I'd done it privately, you might have tried to fix it, might have tried to mediate, to smooth things over, to make everyone get along. This way, there was no ambiguity, no room for them to manipulate or minimize. It was harsh. It was necessary. She nodded. I get it now. I didn't then, but I do now. Looking back at that moment, my fiancé saying, I invited a few people you don't like. Be mature. I realized she had no idea what she was asking. No idea that those people weren't just people I didn't like. They were the reason I rebuilt my entire life from scratch. I nodded and said, of course, because I knew exactly what I was going to do. Knew I was going to show her, show everyone, who these people really were. And on the wedding day, everything went exactly as planned, until her smile disappeared after reading a single name on that screen. The moment she realized the stranger in those photos was me. The moment everything she thought she knew became a lie. Some people think I was wrong, think I ruined my own wedding for revenge, but it wasn't revenge. It was truth. Truth with perfect timing, perfect execution, perfect witnesses. And if my marriage survives, which it might, it'll be because we built it on truth instead of comfortable ignorance. I'm 34 years old. I'm married to someone who finally knows all of me, not just the parts I thought were safe to share. I'm still the person I rebuilt myself to be. But now that person includes the story of how I got here. And those 4 people? They're nothing. Strangers I used to know. People who taught me that cruelty disguised as friendship destroys lives. But survival builds them back better.